Have you ever experienced the Mandela Effect? False memories, or Mandela Effect, refers to a phenomenon where someone recalls something that did not happen or recalls it differently from the way that it actually happened. The name of the theory dates back to 2010, when numerous people on the internet falsely remembered Nelson Mandela was dead. It was widely believed he died in prison during the 1980s. Mandela was actually freed in 1990 and passed away in 2013. But thousands of people still do remember the fact that Mandela died in prison, with news coverage of his funeral and a heartfelt speech by his widow. Now the question is, how can so many people have the same false memory that didn't ever happen? Another famous example can be something like Jiffy peanut butter. If you looked forward to your school lunch break because your parents or guardian packed a Jiffy peanut butter sandwich, your childhood may be a lie. While both Jif and Skippy brands have lined store shelves, there's never been a Jiffy brand. For this false memory, there's a theory suggesting that since both Jif and Skippy used to be on the same shelf, people incorporated wrong elements in the reconstruction process of both names. Now that's encoded in people's memories, and the false memory is what they are remembering. They don't remember the experience of seeing it, but the experience of falsely remembering. One more example can be found from the 1979 James Bond movie, Moonraker. There is a short sequence in the movie where a character named Dolly first meets Jaws, was originally reported as Dolly saving Jaws, and Jaws looking at her and falling in love with her, before smiling at her and baring his metal teeth. Dolly then returns a smile, revealing her braces to him. This was an extremely known joke that Jaws and Dolly belonged together because of their metal teeth and braces, hence why they first fell in love. In reality, Dolly is totally braceless throughout the film. People were shocked to find out after rewatching the scene that she never had braces, despite every major James Bond fan claiming that she did. This Mandela effect was so perplexing that it even made people commit suicide. Many people claimed that this is one example of history actually being altered, while some say that these memories are just bits and pieces from an alternate reality where it actually happened. Next up, Berenstain bears, or Berenstein bears. While many people distinctly remember the name spelled Berenstein, pronounced Steen, the actual name of both bears in the authors is Berenstain, pronounced as it would be Stain. The controversy has created online factions, with one side assuring the other that it has always been spelled Berenstain, and that this is just a widespread misunderstanding. But some who believe Berenstein argue that this controversy is something more, a conspiracy. To paraphrase some fairly serious quantum physics, the theory posits that sometime between 1986 and 2011, our universe, in which the bears were named Berenstein, merged with a near identical parallel universe in which the family is called Berenstain, which altered our history and left many people perplexed by the change. Further, theorists argue that this mess could have even been created by an errant time traveler. But there is more to this. The pronunciation was messed up even during the launch of the animated series. Take a quick listen to this part of the theme song, which was played during every start of the video.
The Berenstain Bears, the Berenstain Bears.
There is other evidence to show people pronouncing Berenstein or Berenstein, but let's move on to a different example because this one seems to have more of the problem of just mass confusion. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Or was it magic mirror on the wall? This film quote that's misremembered by thousands of people is the 1937 Disney classic Snow White, when the Wicked Queen says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of them all?" Except that's not quite the right quote. The correct quote is,
"Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?"
You heard it right. Magic mirror on the wall. This page that you are seeing here from the original source of the animated series, and it reads mirror mirror on the series. And since it was originally planned like this, people adapt to the old version. But this doesn't end here. The most absurd part of that is the original Disney material in 1973 opted to use not so true version of it. why is that so? Maybe the answer lies in a different time or alternate reality, which we might never know. But one thing to note is that the word magic mirror was taken from a different cartoon altogether.
Magic mirror in my hand, who's the fairest in the land?
The Ford logo. How do you remember it? Is it this or this? Everyone is pretty familiar with the Ford Motor Corp logo, but some remember there never being the curly pigtail swirl in the capital F, which is seen today. Many people assume that the logo's inspiration must have been from Henry himself, since it dates back to when he started building the company. But the truth is, it's not. It's from the company's first chief engineer, designer named Clyde Harold Wills. Wills designed business cards and took the styling from some used source on his own to use the Ford logo when Henry asked him. There have been various other instances of false memory, including many from the beloved Star Wars franchise. But due to so much conflicting evidence, we simply can't cover all of this in this video. Now, what would be the reason for the Mandela effect, which people have experienced around the globe? Some doctors believe that the Mandela effect is a form of confabulation. A common analogy for confabulation is honest lying. A person creates a false memory without intending to lie or deceive others. Instead, they're attempting to fill the gaps in their own memory. Many examples of the Mandela effect are close to the original or true memory. Confabulation is just a symptom of various memory disorders in which made-up stories fill in any gaps in memory. Some researchers believe that people, even a large group of people, use confabulation to remember what they feel is most likely a sequence of events. But according to some proponents of the Mandela effect, this happens because of alternate universes, or parallel universe. The theory assumes that there are many universes existing at the same time, so there can be multiple outcomes for a single thing. So in our universe, Mandela died in 2013, but in alternate ones, he died in prison in the 1980s. And that's what is creating this false memory for large groups of people in existence. There can be many ways of proving the Mandela effect based on alternate realities, multiverse hypothesis, and different timelines, but those just don't seem very logical at their core. Now let's discuss, what if we built a time travel machine? Well, actually, let's go ahead and save that for the next episode of Discover Zen.